Nobody tells you what it actually feels like right before money arrives. The spiritual industry has painted you a picture, and the picture is a lie. They told you to watch for butterflies and repeating numbers, for feathers on the sidewalk, for a warm wave of alignment washing over you while everything falls into place. So you sit there waiting to feel magical, and because you never do, you conclude it is not working, and you quit. And here is the brutal joke hidden inside that conclusion. For many of you, the moment you quit, you were days away, not years, not someday, days. Because the real signs that money is about to enter your life are not beautiful. They are disturbing. They feel like flatness, like memories you buried coming back up, like people acting strange, like loss, like silence. The final approach does not feel like a sunrise. It feels like a demolition site. And if nobody shows you the difference between demolition and destruction, you will run out of the building at the exact moment the renovation began. So, in this video, I'm going to give you the 7 real signs, the unglamorous, uncomfortable, clinically observable signs that a nervous system is in the final stage of transition into wealth. And I need to warn you about the 4th one before we even begin, because the 4th sign feels exactly like losing everything you were trying to build, and it is the precise point where most people abandon the process, days before delivery. And one thing before we start, so you understand what this map measures, these 7 signs are late stage. They do not appear at the beginning of the work. When they show up, and especially when they cluster, you are not somewhere on a long road, you are days from the end of it, standing in the last stretch, which is exactly why this is the worst possible place to misread the terrain. Stay to the end, because missing one of these signs is not a small mistake. Reading a sign of arrival as a sign of failure is how people manifest their own eviction from a house they already owned. But first you need to understand why the signs are ugly, because once you understand the mechanics, the whole video will click into place, and you will stop needing me. When you change your inner state the way Neville Goddard taught, when you assume wealth as a present fact and hold that assumption, you are not adding a nice new thought to your existing mind. You are issuing a demolition order. There is a structure standing in you, decades old, built from every lesson scarcity ever taught your body, and it does not have a spare room where wealth can stay as a guest. The structure itself is the poverty. So before the new state can operate your life, the old one has to be dismantled, beam by beam, habit by habit, expectation by expectation. And I want you to picture what a renovation looks like from the inside, halfway through. It looks worse than before the work started. Walls open, dust everywhere, furniture gone, wiring hanging out. A stranger walking through would say, "This place is being destroyed." Only the architect knows that everything happening is sequence, not chaos. Your nervous system in transition is that building. The flatness, the surfacing memories, the social turbulence, the losses, the strange nights, the silence, every one of them is construction dust. Neville said, "You must be willing to die to the old man before the new man can live," and everyone quotes that line like poetry until their own demolition starts. And then they call the demolition proof that the method failed. It is proof the method took. And before I list them, grasp the cost of not knowing this, because the cost is not abstract. Think about what it means to misread a signal at the exact moment of transition. A woman holds the state for 6 weeks, clean, disciplined, and then the flatness arrives, sign 1. Possession settling in and nobody ever told her, so she reads the flatness as her faith dying, panics, and starts forcing hungry visualizations to bring the fire back. And the hunger she manufactures reopens the gap the flatness had just closed. She reset the entire operation at the finish line, using effort, believing she was saving it. A man does everything right, and then an old humiliation surfaces. Sign 2, a stone leaving the wall, and he decides the practice is making him worse, digging up trauma. So he stops, right as the foundation of his broke identity was being carried out of him in pieces. Multiply those 2 by millions. I'm convinced, and I mean this literally, that more manifestations are aborted by misread signals than by weak faith, bad technique, and laziness combined. The universe does not need to deny you. It only needs you to misunderstand what arrival feels like, and you will deny yourself and even feel responsible about it. That is why this list matters more than another technique video. Techniques start the delivery. Reading the signs correctly is what lets you stay still long enough to receive it. So here are the 7 signs, in the order that should build your confidence, not break it. Sign number 1. The desire suddenly goes flat. This one terrifies devoted people more than any other, so let us kill the fear immediately. You spent months, maybe years, burning for money, craving it, visualizing it, feeling electric about it. And then one week you notice the fire is gone. You think about the money and feel almost nothing, a shrug where the hunger used to be. And you panic, because you have been taught that desire is the fuel, so no desire must mean the engine died. You lost your faith, you got lazy, you should force it back. Do not force anything. Listen to the mechanics. Desire is not the presence of the goal. Desire is the felt experience of its absence. That burning you loved was your nervous system screaming the gap between what you are and what you want. It could only burn while the money was classified as missing. So what does it mean when the burning stops without the bank account changing yet? It means the classification changed. Somewhere in the deep file, the money moved from the folder marked missing to the folder marked mine, and your system does not crave what it owns. Nobody stands at their kitchen window aching with desire for the refrigerator they already have. The flatness that feels like losing your faith is the interior sensation of possession. Neville described the end of a successful impregnation of the mind in exactly these terms. The wish, he said, when truly accepted, no longer excites. It settles into a quiet knowing that he compared to a healthy man's relationship with his own health. He does not celebrate his lungs, he breathes. So when the fire goes out and a strange indifference moves in, do not resuscitate the craving. Craving would reopen the gap. The flatness is the first customs stamp on the delivery. Let it be boring. Boring is what arrival feels like from the inside, long before it is visible from the outside. Sign number 2. Old money memories start surfacing, uninvited. This one blindsides people because it feels like going backward. You are doing the work, holding the new state, and suddenly, in the shower, in traffic, at 2 in the afternoon, your mind serves you a memory you have not touched in 20 years. The day the card got declined in front of everyone, the kids at school who noticed your shoes, your father at the kitchen table with his head in his hands, the apartment you lost, the loan you had to ask for and the face of the person who heard you ask. And the memories come with their original charge, hot and sharp, as if they happened last week. You conclude you are regressing. You conclude the old wounds are winning. Understand what is actually happening in the machine. A structure being demolished gives up what was buried in its walls. Those memories were not gone all these years. They were load-bearing. They were the foundation stones of the identity that said, money humiliates us, money leaves us, money is watched by other people's eyes. As long as that identity stood solid, the stones stayed sealed inside the walls, silently holding up the whole structure. The reason they are surfacing now and only now is that the walls around them are coming down. A memory that floats up during this work is a stone being carried out of the building. It hurts on the way out because it was installed with pain, and pain is how it is anchored. But hear the instruction clearly. Do not build a shrine to the stone. Do not lie down on the therapist's couch inside your own head for 6 months to analyze each one, because analysis is a form of reinstallation. You look at it, you name it, that is the old file leaving, and you let it pass through like weather. Neville's revision can help here. Run the old scene once, refilmed if it insists on repeating, but mostly, treat the exodus as what it is. Traffic moving out of you. You are not getting worse, you are getting emptier, and the emptiness is being prepared for what is coming to fill it. Sign number 3. People around you start acting strange about money, specifically toward you. Watch for this one because it is subtle and social, and almost nobody connects it to their inner work. A few weeks into holding the new state, the humans in your orbit begin to behave off script. A friend who never discusses finances suddenly unloads their money problems on you over coffee, as if you had become someone to consult. A relative makes a sharp little comment about people who think they are better than where they came from. A co-worker you barely know mentions an opportunity offhand and watches your face. Someone asks to borrow money with a new kind of expectation. Old acquaintances resurface with vague projects. The whole social field around the subject of money begins to vibrate, some of it warm, some of it hostile, all of it aimed at you, and you wonder what is wrong with everyone. Neville answered this 70 years ago with 4 words that should be tattooed somewhere on your awareness. Everyone is you, pushed out. The people in your world are not independent critics of your finances. They are performers, faithfully playing the roles your inner state assigns. For decades, your state assigned them a script called, "This person is one of us, not going anywhere." Now the state has changed, and the casting office has sent out new pages, and the whole company is adjusting mid-performance. The hostile comments are the old script defending itself through the mouths that knew you best. The consultations and offhand opportunities are the new script beginning to read itself into the scene. Both are the same signal. The field around you has registered the change before the bank has. When the mirror starts rearranging the actors, the set change is already underway backstage. Do not argue with the resistors and do not chase the opportunities in panic. Stay in state and let the cast finish finding their new marks. Now, one instruction about how to hold this list before we go deeper, because the list itself can become a trap for a certain kind of mind. These signs are recognized, not hunted. There is a version of you that finishes this video and turns into a customs inspector of your own life, examining every mood hourly. Is this the flatness? Was that comment sign 3? Checking for symptoms the way a hypochondriac reads a medical site at midnight. Understand what that surveillance is in the language of state. It is doubt wearing a lab coat. A man who is certain the truck is coming does not stand at the window with binoculars logging every car. He does something else with his afternoon. The signs in this video are for retrospect and for reassurance, so that when one of them lands on you unannounced, you recognize it in the moment instead of panicking, nothing more. You watch this video once, you file the map, and then you go back to living from the end, and weeks later you notice, quietly, oh, that flatness, that was it. It is moving. That is the correct relationship with signs. They confirm the road while you drive it. They were never meant to become the destination your eyes search for, because eyes searching for evidence of arrival are eyes testifying that nothing has arrived. Even your relationship with this list must come from possession, not from lack. Casual, almost amused, the way a woman who knows she is loved reads a note from her husband, not the way a detective reads a suspect's mail. Those are the first 3, the quiet ones. If you have felt even one of them and misread it, pause right now and check the pinned comment below this video, because what I put there continues this work at a depth we cannot reach here. And now brace yourself properly, because sign number 4 is the executioner. It is where the strong ones quit. Sign number 4, something gets removed. Days or weeks into your cleanest stretch of inner work, reality reaches into your life and takes something. The client who paid most of your bills goes quiet and then goes away. The overtime that padded your check gets cut. The car makes a sound it has never made, and the repair costs exactly what you had managed to save. The side income dries up. In the harder versions, the job itself ends. And I want to describe precisely what happens in your chest when it hits, because the feeling is the trap. Everything in you says, it backfired. I reached for more and the universe took what little I had. I flew too close and got burned, just like the voice in my family always said we would. And the old file rises like a preacher at a funeral, saying, see, this is what wanting does, this is what we get. And it feels not like a thought, but like the truth arriving. Millions of people have stood exactly there in the wreckage of sign 4 and walked away from the entire teaching, telling everyone afterward that they tried manifestation once and it cost them. Now let me show you the machine, because the machine tells a different story. 2 things are happening inside a removal, and neither of them is punishment. The first is structural. Your current income sources are not neutral pipes. Each one is wired into the old identity, sized to it, shaped by it, priced by it. That client was the client a struggling person accepts. At rates a struggling person tolerates. Under conditions a struggling person endures. That trickle of income was the exact diameter of the old self's pipe. New volume cannot flow through it, and here is the uncomfortable engineering fact. A system under renovation shuts off the water before replacing the plumbing. The removal that looks like your ruin is the old pipe being unscrewed because it was never going to carry what you ordered, and its presence was the standing argument for keeping you small. The second thing is a test of address. Neville taught that an assumption must be lived in, especially when the senses deny it. Sign 4 is your senses denying it at full volume. The removal asks one question, quietly, underneath all the noise. Where do you live now? If the first shortfall sends you scrambling back into the old state, begging, panicking, undoing months of work in an afternoon, then the old address was still home, and the system files the new identity as a costume you wore. But if you can stand in the rubble of the removal, shaken, human, and still say, "My wealth was never coming from that pipe anyway, it comes from what I am," then something profound gets recorded in the file room. The assumption survived contact with evidence, and an assumption that survives evidence, Neville said, hardens into fact. Ask anyone who has actually crossed from struggle into real money through this work, not theory, the people with the before and after, and a shocking number will tell you the same story with different props. The collapse came first, the firing that preceded the business, the client loss that preceded the bigger client, the eviction that preceded the address they now hold. They all say some version of the same sentence. I thought I was being destroyed, and I was being unpacked. The space had to be emptied before it could be filled, and nothing empties a space like a removal. So here is the law of sign 4, and write it somewhere you will see it on a bad day. When something exits during the work, it is not the answer being taken away. It is the obstacle being taken away, and the obstacle was disguised as a lifeline. Grieve it for an evening if you must, you are human, but do not resign from the new state at the funeral of the old one. Delivery trucks, it turns out, need the driveway cleared. Sign number 5. Your nights turn strange. Somewhere in the transition, sleep stops being the reliable nothing it always was. You start dreaming with an intensity you have not had since childhood. Vivid, chaotic, sometimes disturbing dreams. Dreams of houses with rooms you never knew existed, of packing, of moving, of water, of people from your past standing in the wrong places. Some nights you wake at 3 or 4 in the morning, wide awake for no reason, heart steady but mind strangely alert, as if the body had been interrupted mid-task. And the old interpretation machine calls it stress, and the new age machine calls it a spiritual attack, and both are wrong. Remember what you now know about the night shift. Deep identity work is executed during sleep, when the guard is off duty, and the system consolidates whatever the day and the drowsy window handed it. You have been handing it demolition orders. Of course, the nights got loud. The dreams of unknown rooms in familiar houses are almost embarrassingly literal, the psyche discovering capacity it did not know it had, the packing dreams, the moving dreams, the water. You do not need a dream dictionary. You need to notice the theme, transition. The 3 in the morning wakings are the sound of heavy furniture being moved in the file room, a system so busy rewriting that it surfaces briefly to cool down. None of it means something is wrong. It means the order went through and the work is running on schedule at night, when the deepest work always runs. Do not fear the strange nights, and, more importantly, do not use them as the new worry material. Lie there, if you wake, and run your scene once softly and let it take you back down. You could not ask for better timing. The door is open at 3 in the morning, and you are standing at it anyway. Sign number 6. Doors start opening that require you to be seen. This one arrives dressed as opportunity and feels like threat. Out of nowhere, the field starts inviting you forward. Someone asks you to lead the project, present the work, take the client meeting alone. An acquaintance suggests you charge for the thing you have always done free. A small platform, a workshop, a partnership, a request to teach what you know. And notice your body's response, because it will be violent in its quietness. Excuses will arrive within seconds, fluent, reasonable, airtight, not ready, too busy, next year. People like me do not. Here is what is actually happening. Money does not fall from the sky. It arrives through people, through channels, through being of visible value to other humans. And the system, having accepted the new order, is now routing the delivery, and the route runs through visibility. But the old identity had a clause buried deep in its contract. A clause most broke identities share. Stay small, stay safe, stay unseen, because visibility is where the family got hurt, where the shame lives, where they can get you. So watch the collision. The new state pulls doors open. The old clause slams them from inside your own chest. And people at this stage say the strangest true sentence in this entire teaching. It feels like the universe is offering me everything I asked for, and I keep hearing myself say no. If doors requiring visibility are opening and terror is rising with them, you are not off track. You are at the exact junction where the delivery route crosses the old defense line. The doors are the supply arriving. The terror is the final wall. You do not have to feel brave. You have to say yes, shaking once or twice, and the clause, unexercised, dissolves faster than you would believe. Sign number 7, the silence. And I saved this for last because it is the most disturbing of all. and the most misunderstood, and the closest to the end. After the flatness, after the exodus of memories, after the turbulence and the removals and the strange nights and the frightening doors, there often comes a stretch of pure nothing. The dreams calm down. The people stop acting strange. No opportunities, no losses, no signals, no echoes, no feedback of any kind. The whole field goes still, like a tide pulled impossibly far out, like a theater in the dark second before the curtain, and you stand in that stillness absolutely convinced that the entire process has died. This is where devoted people who survived sign 4, finally break. Because humans can endure turbulence at least proves something is happening, but silence offers nothing to interpret, and the interpreting mind panics and starts shaking the system to get a response, checking, testing, redoing techniques, begging the stillness for a sign, and every shake testifies to lack and unwinds the work. Now hear what the silence actually is. Every birth is preceded by stillness. The contractions stop before the final push. Scripture, which Neville read as psychology, marks the pattern everywhere: the Sabbath after the work of creation, the calm on the sea, the stone silence of the tomb before the third day. He taught that when the assumption is truly complete, the inner conversation goes quiet, because there is nothing left to negotiate, and the outer field goes quiet, because the last adjustments are being made behind the curtain, where bridges of incidents are assembled, and the file room seals itself to finish. The silence is not the machine off. It is the machine at full load, past the point where your participation is useful. Your entire job description in the silence is one word long: nothing. Do not dig up the seed to check the roots. Do not call the kitchen to ask about the order. Live your days, keep your nights clean, hold the quiet knowing, and let the stillness be as boring as possession always is. The people who make it through the silence without blinking describe what follows with the same word, always the same word. Suddenly. Everything was frozen, they say, and then suddenly, everything at once. The silence was never absence, it was the held breath before the curtain. So that is the map. Flatness, exodus, strange behavior in the cast, removal, loud nights, doors that frighten you, and the great silence. 3 questions always follow this list, so let me answer them before they cost you sleep. First, do they come in order? No. The numbering is for teaching, not for scheduling. Some people get the silence early and the removal late. Some get 3 signs braided together in the same week. The order I gave you is common, not law, so do not stand at sign 2 refusing to proceed because sign 1 never clocked in. Second, do you need all 7? No again. Most complete transitions show 3 or 4 of these distinctly, and the rest pass quietly or not at all. 1 sign read correctly and held through is worth more than 7 signs collected like stamps. And third, the question you actually care about: how long between the signs and the money? And here I will not lie to you with a number, because the honest answer is that the interval belongs to the bridge, not to you. What I can tell you from the pattern is this: the signs cluster in the middle and late stages, not the beginning. If the demolition is loud, the structure is nearly down. If the silence has arrived, you are usually counting weeks, sometimes days. The system never runs the crew this deep into a renovation it does not intend to finish. Nature does not send contractions for a birth it has cancelled. One more question, the intelligent skeptic's question, and I respect it enough to answer it head on. How do I know I am not fooling myself? How do I know these signs are mechanism, and not just me repainting ordinary bad luck with hopeful labels? Fair. Here is the test, and it is clean. Direction and cluster. Ordinary bad luck is random, scattered across your life, hitting your health, your car, your cousin, with no relationship to your inner work, and it was happening before you started, at the same rate, in the same flavors. The signs are different in 2 measurable ways. They cluster around the subject you're working on: money, its sources, its people, its memories, with strange specificity. And they began, or sharply intensified after you began. A man who never dreams starts dreaming of moving vans 3 weeks into nightly scenes. A woman with stable clients loses precisely the one that kept her identity small. In the same month, her old money memories started surfacing. That is not scatter, that is sequence. Keep the notebook I have told you about before, dates and events, 1 line each, and let the notebook make the case. Self-deception cannot survive a dated list in either direction. If the list shows scatter, tighten your practice. If it shows cluster and sequence, stop doubting your own construction site and get out of the crew's way. Now let me give you the response protocol, what you actually do when a sign lands, because recognition without response is only half the skill. The protocol is almost insultingly simple, and its simplicity is the discipline. When a sign appears, you name it once, you thank it once inwardly, the way you would nod at a mile marker on a highway, and you return to the end. That is all. You do not celebrate for a week, because celebration says it just happened and just happened, says it was not always mine. You do not text your group chat for analysis. You do not journal 14 pages on it. You do not, above all, escalate into monitoring, hunting the next sign because a mile marker studied through binoculars becomes a wall. Name it, nod at it, return to the scene at night and the verdict in the morning, and let the road keep coming to you. And if you are now realizing you cannot find yourself on this map at all, none of the 7, nothing moving, do not despair, diagnose. No signs usually means no demolition order was ever actually issued, which means the assumption has been visited but never occupied. You have been thinking about the new state from inside the old one, a tourist taking pictures of a country you refuse to move to. The signs do not respond to interest. They respond to residence. Go back, assume the state as a present fact, sleep in it nightly, and the first crew will show up within days, usually wearing the grey overalls of sign 1, the flatness, right on schedule. And one final rule while the crew is in your building. Tell no one. Scripture repeats the instruction constantly, and Neville loved pointing it out. The Healder told, go and tell no man. Not because the teaching is a secret society, but because of what happens in your body when you announce a transition that is still soft. You tell your brother about the flatness and the strange doors and he laughs, or worse, he gets reasonable with you, and his doubt walks into your system wearing the voice you trusted since childhood, and that night his sentence loops in your corridor instead of your scene. A state under construction has no walls yet. Other people's opinions are weather, and you do not frame a house in a storm you invited. Do the work in silence, let the results make the announcement, and give your relatives the only proof they were ever going to accept anyway, the new address. And understand the deepest thing this video has been saying underneath the list. The discomfort was never a detour on the road to wealth. The discomfort is the road. A nervous system cannot pass from one identity to another without flatness where fire was, without old stones surfacing, without the cast improvising, without pipes being pulled, without loud nights and frightening doors and the held breath of the silence. Anyone selling you a transition that feels like warm light from day one is selling you a postcard of a country they have never lived in. Neville never sold that. He promised something better than comfort. He promised mechanism. Assume the end, live in it against the evidence, and the whole architecture of your life will reorganize to express it. And the reorganization will feel like exactly what it is. A building being gutted while you live inside it. Now you have the map of that gutting, stage by stage. The next time one of these 7 lands on you, something remarkable will happen in your chest. Where everyone around you would feel panic, you will feel recognition. Right on schedule, you will say, and hold the state, and let the crew work. That single shift, from panic to recognition, is worth more than every technique you have ever collected, because techniques start deliveries, but recognition is what stops you from canceling them at the door. So here is what I want from you before you close this video. Scroll down and write the number of the sign you are living through right now, just the number. 1 for the flatness, 4 for the removal, 7 for the silence, whatever is on you this week. 2 things will happen. Your own nervous system will hear you classify chaos as schedule, which changes your relationship to it tonight. And 10,000 other people will scroll through those numbers and realize the demolition they thought was private is a construction site the size of the world. If nothing is moving yet, write 0, honestly, and then go occupy the state, because 0 is only ever temporary for someone who moves in. Then check the pinned comment, because what I left there picks up exactly where this map ends. The signs are already in your life. You have been reading them upside down. Turn the map over, hold the end, and let what looks like everything falling apart finish being what it always was. Everything falling into place. I will see you in the next video.